Hey, 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 welcome Taurus energy. How are you? I'm burning some sacred sage for you and me. This is all astrology. It is May, but this is really a June reading. We're going to touch in on the butt end of May. I will talk about the new moon, but we're also going to talk about the eclipses that are coming. So right now, let's begin. We've got the 15th of this month, Mercury going out of bounds. You want to know where your Gemini energy is because this is where Mercury is doing this. Gemini energy for Taurus ascendant, Taurus rising is in your second house, typically. All right, so you always want to go by degrees. All right, so Mercury went out of bounds at like 18 degrees, and Mercury will stay out of bounds all the way until it goes into the Cancer energy. So an out of bounds planet means it happens more extreme. What does Mercury represent? More extreme thinking, more extreme communication, more extreme ways of talking and relating and communicating. Gemini energy is the internet. Gemini energy is any form of relaying information. So whether that's somebody delivering the news, whether that's somebody, receiving the news, it's, the planet Mercury has wings on it, so to speak. Think of the little person. Think of her flying around with wings on her feet. Very quick information. If it's out of bounds, the information is going even faster. It's moving even quicker. Anytime something moves even faster, you can bet that the accuracy is probably going to be a little bit less. Now, in conjunction with Mercury going out of bounds at the new moon time by the 22nd of the month, right? New moon. We have Neptune at 20 degrees in Pisces, exactly at 90 degrees away, squaring Mercury at 20 and Venus at 20. Now, Mercury and Venus are both in Gemini, your second house. So this is your money, this is your income, this is what you value. So you have the internet there, you have social media there. Your money, you can make your money as long as you keep communicating using social media. North Node is in this place for the next 18 months. If there's ever a time to make money and there's ever a clear signal for you, it is utilizing social media. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I used to love Instagram. It got so very commercially though, and I kind of like utilizing social media and to whatever degree you have and learning how to perfect it. YouTube, doing YouTube videos. If you bake, I want to see some freaking YouTube videos, right? Let me see the process. Let me see the stages. Let me see the steps. That's the energy we're in because Gemini is all about learning. It's learning. It's learning how to communicate, how to relate. It's learning how to network with folks using social media. And that is the beauty of this time because you've got this in your house of making money, your second house of my income. The second house is where we're always constantly taking in. It's when things come to us and they go right into my bank account, or they come to us and I go put it in my room like it's mine. That's the second house energy. We get it and we hold on to it because we love it. This is mine. But when you have Gemini in that location, that means you can make money in more than one way because Gemini is very flexible, very, you know what, I can do this, I can do that. It's a master of trades. It can do lots of different things. It's really good with its hands. So anything you're doing that involves your hands, right? Somehow, whether it's doing crafts, whether it's baking, right? Drawing, art, right? Whatever it might be. Some people knit, anything, right? Gardening, getting some vegetables, digging stuff up out of the ground, selling stuff at a local market. Even if the local markets aren't face-to-face or if they end up being face-to-face, you can still have an online presence. And that's what this Gemini, the North Node, is going to be doing there for the next 18 months for you. However, at the new moon time, we have Neptune squaring it. All right, so what that means is there can be an overabundance of things sounding really ideal. Like what I'm saying right now, you might be listening to it and I might be sounding like very dreamy. Like it might sound to you like I'm saying you're going to become a millionaire in the next 18 months. You may receive it that way. And that's not what I said. I said you can make money there. There's a difference between making money and putting food on the table and paying the bills than to being a millionaire, right? You see how that works? The level of illusions and delusions. Because Neptune rules our dreams and our fantasies, right? It's Hollywood. It literally is the big screen. So our imagination runs wild. It's a really good creative energy. When you have Neptune squaring the sun and squaring Venus, right? Which is what we have at the new moon time. We've got Venus and Mercury together. I said the sun. We've got Venus and Mercury at 20 degrees together in Gemini. Very crafty, very handsy. Not to forget Gemini is also our lungs, like This has become very prominent in the world of this pandemic thing and people on ventilators and stuff. Well, Neptune squaring Mercury, honestly, you know, the downside of this is there could be individuals in their charts where that 20-degree mark could become fatal for them. I'm not saying it's just those two things that would say, oh, well, you're not going to have a good time here. This is going to be rough. Yes, there would have to be other factors in one's chart. So obviously, if you need help and you want someone to look at that for you, just comment your stuff below and I can clarify, all right? This is not about, you know, into a rage of hysterics or freaking people out. It's just understanding astrology and realizing that when we talk about astrology, you have to talk about all the things in the person's chart, like everything, not just one or two, three things, right? And that's what an astrologer does. When you sit down with an astrologer, when you pay one, right? When you say, hey, I want a reading, and you give them some money, their job is to look at all the ingredients and then say, this is the product of all the ingredients together, like you would with a soup, right? An egg is just an egg, right? A piece of ham is just a piece of ham. You know, a bone is just a bone. But when you can take those things and mix them all together and add some other vegetables and ingredients, all of a sudden you have some beautiful smells coming and you've got some awesome stuff happening, right? Things that look good, that taste good, that smell good, that are good. But individually, they're just themselves. They don't have the layer of flavor. They don't have the, you know, there's just a whole level of life and vibrancy that's just not there. You don't have the whole picture. It becomes very fragmented and like there's just things missing. When Mercury on the 15th started going out of bounds, and so we started having people being very reactionary, things were happening in their thinking where it was just like, I'm taking action, I'm gonna go and do this, right? It's because Mars is in Pisces and Mars is frustrated in Pisces. It's not happy in Pisces. Mars wants to be the first one in front of the group. It wants to be the first one out of the gate. It wants to be the leader. When you lead people, that means there has to be somebody behind you. But that's not Piscean energy. Pisces is solitude time. Pisces is, okay, it's time to retreat. It's time to sit down. It's time to chill. It's time to just be in your own space. It's time to meditate. It's time to pray. It's time to go within. And that is not Mars at all. Mars is the exact opposite of that. Mars is, I'm ready to fight. If there's no better explanation of Mars, I mean, I don't think there is, but Mars is bursts of energy, an energetic thing happening. And you know that it's sporadic. It's not predictable. It happens in bursts. And it's because it's frustrated. But when it happens in bursts, it's quite powerful, assertive, and aggressive. That's Mars. And so we're seeing this happen. If we follow like what's happening in the world, and if we pay attention, and not so much to dive into it, to emotionally be a part of it, but to be the observer of what's happening, we see frustrated Mars, right? Frustrated soldier. Oh my God. How many fake soldiers are we seeing, right? These pictures of people walking into stores with like these major weapons strapped to their body. You know, you see it on paper, what a frustrated soldier looks like and how that happens. And this is what we're in right now. So Mercury being extreme, it adds to that because it's not only an extreme Mercury, but it's getting the clouds, right? It's being veiled and it's being muddied, right? Its ability to think clearly and logically and rationally gets very much dissolved when Neptune squares it. The stronger energy is literally like 3 or 4 days later. So when we go, we want to find out where is Pisces for you. Your Piscean energy is in your 11th house. Okay, so your 11th house is your friendships. This is your group energy. It's your like-minded individuals. It's where we congregate with like-minded people where we have some sort of common goal with a group. Internet definitely falls into that location because it's groups. And internet is all about technology, advancements for technology. It's also astrology, right? This is why this makes a spiritual practice for me. Piscean energy being there and finding out, okay, so if my Mars is there, like I tried explaining earlier that me having Mars there has completely slowed all my internet stuff down. Like all the devices, I got to press something 17 times to get it to work. And it's just like, okay, this is what it is, right? Knowing that it squares Mercury too is what's happening because Mercury is social media. It is, so there's this double whammy going on, right? At both ends where it's going to slow things down and they might not be very clear. Things are going to be fuzzy. And so your Gemini energy, okay, again, this is a big focus. Again, your second house. You're going to hear this mentioned a lot because so many planets are in Gemini, right? Your North Node is there. In May, we've got the Sun, we've got the Moon, we've got Venus also there. So this is this mega stellium in that location of income, of what you value. Not just your income, but what you value. Mercury's on overdrive right now and will be until June 11th to be exact. Cancer receiving Mercury. Mercury on the 28th or so of this month of May, Mercury then says, you know what? Time to move in Cancer energy. So all of a sudden your thoughts change. Your mercurial stuff, this love of figuring out how to relate, how to communicate, how to do business, and siblings being a big deal, right? This is all merging now into the Cancer energy. And Cancer is more of a nurturing energy. It really emphasizes emotional security, emotional satisfaction. And understanding the evolution of Mercury is something that's important, because when we think about knowing what we need for our future, and Mercury being highlighted when we hit June, because a lot of big stuff happens in June with the 2 eclipses, and it is really, you know, and there's going to be an eclipse in Cancer energy, and this energy is family. It's Cancer. It's nurturing females. It's my heritage. It's my lineage. You know, it's your tribe. It's the people that you really connect to in a way where they may be friends, they may be coworkers, you know, they don't have to be blood relatives, but they just feel like family. There's just this connectivity you have. It's because you have a past life with them. You have past history. And so whether it's the personalities, well, it's not the personalities, it's the souls that you're feeling. It's the past life connectivity with those souls. And so Mercury being there likely will elevate that capacity to reach out and to communicate and to want to touch in with them, and may even be thinking about, do I want to go make some short journeys and trips? Because you look in your chart, the Cancer energy is likely in your 3rd house. And what's the 3rd house? It's just what we talked about when we talked about Gemini. Gemini is taking short journeys, typically within our community, but it also represents siblings. So what if you have siblings that you haven't been able to see because of lockdown, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to do that now, right? Like, I kind of need to get out, because Pisces, you know, Mars is going to be moving. Mars will be going into Arian energy, and we, you know, Gemini energy is very busy, wants to be doing things, wants to be constantly active, right? And is all about moving fast, not sitting still, you know, doesn't want to be stagnant at all, wants things to be fresh. And so this Gemini, Mercury energy going into Cancer, it's like this revitalization of family, revitalization of individuals that you were connected to from your past. And so you may get information, you may have experiences, you may have phone calls, you may have text messages, you may have people reaching out, because you're not the only one who's going to be feeling this. Everybody has Mercury going into Cancer. The difference is where it happens in their chart. Yours is in your 3rd house. So this would be specifically peers, coworkers, siblings, neighbors, people within your immediate environment. Mercury's highlighted there, okay? While she's there, we have the June 5th eclipse. June 5th eclipse is in Sagittarius energy at 15 degrees. There's a lot of repetitive energies happening, okay? And this adds more meaning to these eclipses. It really does, because prior to these eclipses, you see all these planets lining up and being very active in these same energies. You're going to hear me saying things that are going to sound like I'm talking about the same thing. It's not, but it is. It's different planets, different things occurring in the same sign. So in other words, it's just a lot of replay, which makes sense because Venus is retrograding and she's doing a replay, which is a review, a chance to understand, what do I really value now? Do I still value what I used to value? And then mid-June, Mercury does the same thing in the sign of Cancer, who we consider family. Mercury goes retrograde. How do we feel about that? How do we think about how we feel about that? How do we feel while we're thinking about that? Mercury takes a retrograde, which means a review. And typically when you have these review moments, some call them choice points. It's basically like, okay, I'm rethinking this. I see how far this has gotten me. I see how this looks now, knowing what I know now, what I didn't know then, or knowing what I've learned or what I see, or, you know, the way things have evolved. Am I still happy with that? Do I still hold on to that? Or is it time to let something go or someone go? And this is a big theme. Some of these choices are kind of sort of not in our hands. When eclipses occur, they just occur. You know, we have losses. People are all of a sudden not in our lives anymore. And we've been really reminded of how that happens, whether we agree with it or not, because we've had this pandemic going on. And so, yeah, a lot of folks have lost loved ones. Okay, so the 15 degrees Sagittarian energy is all in your 8th house. Now, Sagittarius, you want to check the degrees because the 15 degrees might not be in your 8th house. It just depends on your chart. If you don't know, comment and I can find out specifically for you. But 15 degrees Sag is 8th house, which then at the opposite end of that would be your 2nd house again, because that's Gemini energy. And when we look at eclipses, we look at the point itself, and we also look at what is opposing it. So you want to see, do you have a planet at 15 degrees Sag? Do you have a planet at 15 degrees Gemini? If you do, it's going to be a big deal for you. If you do, let me know. Comment below. I'll help you to figure out what that means for you. This is going to be a release, okay? This is a South Node lunar eclipse. And South Node means we're letting something go. It's now going to become part of our past because we are going forward in some other area of our life. And we know where that area in our life is. It's where Gemini is. That's where the North Node is. You get it? So that South Node in Sag it's a belief about the 8th house stuff. So what is the 8th house stuff? The 8th house is how we merge our energy with other people, but intimate merging. It's not just, yeah, we have these conversations. No, these are people who bond energetically, who bond emotionally. All right, this is a very intimate house. It is a house, a lot of people say it's the house of sex. It doesn't have to be sex. Like there's lots of ways to be intimate with folks without it ever being physical. Okay, it just depends on where you're at and how you operate. But this 8th house goes deeper than that. It is past energies. It is past history of your soul. So it's your belief about those things because it's Sagittarian. Now, when you have the 8th house, when you have Sagittarius in the 8th house, understand Sagittarian energy, because Jupiter is the ruler, it has a tendency to want to have freedom there. Meaning, I want that intimacy, but there's a sense of freedom I need to have, right? I want that, but at the same time, I feel like I almost have to keep myself distant enough so I can have this individuality, this sense of freedom set up, right? Where it's, you know, a border, a boundary. So it's this, I'm attached yet I'm detached, right? I'm connected yet I'm separate. There's this interesting mixture, and it can be complicated. It's a matter of just weaving through it and learning. And this is happening because there's an eclipse there. So whether you want it to happen or not, likely because of what's gone on in life, there's an understanding that you finally come through, right? Because all of astrology, your entire chart is this circle of life. And that's what the chart is, if you think about it. It is the circle of life, right? We understand it as, you know, the animals eat the grass and then, you know, we eat the animals and, you know, we kind of see our circle of life that way. But when you look at it on paper energetically, you do see it here and you're like, wow, this is not just my energetic frequency grid. This isn't just my life map. This is the circle of life. So the next eclipse is going to be June 21st. June 21st eclipse happens at June 21st eclipse. No, I'm sorry. This is the cardinal eclipse. It's 0 degrees Cancer. Now, you want to find out Cancer energy in your chart? You've got Cancer in your 3rd house. So again, we're talking about family. We're talking about nurturing females. We're talking about mother, right? That's the 3rd house energy. But it's also my family. And because it's in your 3rd house, likely siblings are going to be a part of it because that is 3rd house. It's siblings and neighbors. So what does that mean? It means you kind of include people who are considered neighbors and siblings, people who are in your immediate environment. They become your family. This is a really typically it's the 3rd house, right? 3rd house is the thinking, it's the relating, it's the communicating, it's how we receive information, like the give and take of information, because you have Cancer there. This means the way that you give and receive information is through emotions. You can feel the emotions. It's wherever Cancer is in anybody's chart, right? This is this really intuitive thing happening because it's feeling. It's what you feel. And so you're feeling it, whether you want the information or not, you understand it all too well because you get it. So there's this connectivity going on, and it's at 0 degrees of Cancer. Find out, do you have a planet there? That's going to be important. And again, just like the other eclipse, if you have something here, Or if you don't have something at 0 degrees Cancer, see if you have something at 0 degrees. Now, Cancer energy, family, tribe, feelings, mother issues. This is going to be a healing. This is going to be assistance in all that stuff that the first eclipse was asking us to release and let go. This is at 0 degrees, folks. So this is a new beginning. This is not just anybody personally. This is globally. Everybody will be releasing and healing emotions and feelings that they've held onto. It's a big, major release. Every eclipse is like this major dynamic divine download. Just remember that. Because changes occur at eclipse. These are times of magic, literally, because it's nothing that we do or ask or say when it comes to eclipse energy. This is the universe's way of speaking directly to us and showing us, hey, bam, this is going to happen. And it does. It's us being, how receptive are we? How are we going to either react or respond? How observant, how aware are we? We are going to have help. 0 degrees of Cancer, it's like the divine energy comes in, the divine mother goddess energy comes in and says, baby, this is something you've held on to for too long and it's time to let it go. So this has to do with the way you think. This is your emotions, right? This is your 3rd house, Cancer energy, your thoughts, connecting emotions and thoughts together, understanding that your feelings have everything to do with your thoughts, understanding that how you think affects how you feel. This is going to be a big deal. Understanding that you may have to set up borders and boundaries to protect yourself from others' thoughts, from others' emotions, from others' feelings. It's all going to be about that. And there's going to be a release in that. Something that was just held onto and is long overdue. And the universe comes in and says, bam, we're letting go. And 2 weeks later, July 4th, right? Independence Day, fascinating. It's in Capricorn energy, even more fascinating. Like if you were to look at the United States chart, this would be blowing your mind away. We have a video out about that and we're going to be doing more of those. So I'll attach it below. But understanding where Capricorn energy is and seeing where it is in the United States chart and understanding that Capricorn represents the tangible world. When I say tangible, that means anything I can see and touch with my eyes and touch with my hands, anything I can smell, right? It's things that are in the physical, the 3D, right? It's 3D, it's harsh, it's dimensional, it's an object, it's got mass to it, it's got weight. Structures in the 3D that were built up over long periods of time, but that are on a big scale. So like government, religions. And so this means they're physical structures too, like government buildings. This means businesses, brick and mortar businesses, but big businesses, not necessarily the Gemini, local businesses, but the Capricorn big businesses, right? Those big brick and mortars, right? We've seen major changes happening, lots of Pennies, Sears, I don't know, a whole bunch of other retail names that are just like retail, that used to be retail giants, just like gone, right? That's this leaving and out of dated stuff. It's going away. It's being dissolved. And so this is the last eclipse for the Cancer Capricorn signs. We have been through them for like the last 2 years, which meant changes at our home and changes at our work. This is the last one. This is the grand finale. And this one happens at 13/14 degrees of Capricorn. Find out where that is in your chart. I will do a separate video for that, trying to tie in your rising sign so that you have more detail on that video. I haven't done that one yet because it's not until July. But understanding what Capricorn represents and knowing where it is in your chart. You have Capricorn energy in your 9th house. So this is about your beliefs, about all those things I just said when I talked about Capricorn energy. Because the 9th house is our opinions, our beliefs. It's also your higher learning and education, right? And your ability to travel, like to get in the car or to get in a plane and go to far off places, right? Whether you're traveling to other states or getting on a plane and flying over the ocean. 9th house is your long distance journeys and your ability to travel to learn, right? Your desire to travel to learn, because 9th house is is Jupiter. It wants to be free. It's expansive. It is not tied to the earth. It is beyond the earth. It is the unquenchable thirst to explore and to gain more knowledge. It's that arrow that is constantly shooting up and the ultimate seeker. And if you have Capricorn there, oh my God, there's not going to be any greater seeker of knowledge than a Capricorn in the 9th house. You're going to constantly be seeking, constantly be searching. And it's going to be your quest to learn more. So I will do another video that dips in to the depths of that and how that will look specifically for your rising sign. So Taurus, I hope this has put some light upon your path. If there's anything at all that I went over that you don't understand, be smart, comment below. I'll take care of you. Bye.